Have you heard what is going on in the therapist world right now? As if BetterHelp wasn't already on my list, buckle up. Essentially, there's this third party website called CareDash. CareDash has somehow made profiles for basically every therapist who's licensed that's out there. When you are licensed, your information is public because you have to register with the state that you live in. So CareDash has made profiles for every therapist, mental health, social worker, marriage and family therapist, stolen their information from their website or other directories that we pay to be on. And when you click work with this therapist now, guess where they bring you? BetterHelp. They bring you to BetterHelp. And then they say, oh, this therapist doesn't have availability, but look at all these therapists on BetterHelp that can help you. Listen, I know people think there's a lot of money in mental health, but we are very small fish. We pay continuing education fees, we pay licensure fees, we pay insurance, we pay platform fees, we pay website fees, we pay fees to keep client chart information and appointment information, we pay for our video software. We are small fish here. Why does BetterHelp need to use us as pawns to get people to their website?
It appears as though that there's a website that has scraped the information of a ton of different therapists, and this TikTok that highlighted this by Therapy with Millennials points out the impact that it can have on a lot of therapists. Because think about it. Let's imagine for a second that you're searching for a therapist. This website comes up, you find the name of a therapist that you recognize that you've had before, and then it funnels you to somebody else that actually works with BetterHelp or another company. Well, what ends up happening is it uses the name and clout of all the different therapists that might be out there and uses it to funnel business to their company. And this is a pretty significant problem. It appears as though this is part of an effort to basically funnel the entire industry of mental health into sort of app-based services, because if it's creating an account for every different therapist, that means that inevitably people are going to funnel into this and find it. But it also means that therapists whose information is incorrect, which by the way, I actually took the time because I was curious about the story to go to the Better Business Bureau's website to actually look and see if there's a bunch of complaints. And it turns out there are a ton of complaints. There's actually been 161 complaints over the past year. And most of those complaints are therapists saying, why is my information on this website? I didn't consent to you making a profile for me. The information on this profile is inaccurate. And the response from the company has largely been, well, you should just log in and edit your profile yourself so that it won't be inaccurate. But because these people had no choice in actually putting together these profiles, it ends up just being incredibly coercive, especially when you consider that one person in the comments actually claims that they did edit their profile to update their information to make it correct. And then he alleges that the website actually flooded his page with a bunch of fake negative reviews so that people wouldn't try to go to him. Now, obviously, these are complaints on the internet that haven't been adjudicated anywhere. But ultimately, what appears that's going on is basically this website is trying to funnel people into different app-based services. And a lot of people are saying that it's BetterHelp.
Amber Smith hit an emotional wall in February. She says it was taking a toll on her work and her personal relationships. So she tried something she's never done before. She started seeing a psychologist.
It's been, tough to feel isolated and like you don't have access to your friends and family in the way that you would. It was really hard to just feel like yourself.
Millennials and Gen Z are most likely to admit it's a struggle.
When you ask them to self-report their level of mental health, they are more likely to report it as poor or bad compared to their older counterparts.
There's been a huge spike in virtual therapy sessions at the Ontario Shores Centre for Mental Health, mirroring a trend seen right across the country.
We used to do about 400 virtual care visits a month pre-pandemic, and we are now doing anywhere between 4,000 and 6,000 virtual care visits a month.
Lack of mental health care is something Canada and the United States have in common, because Canada's universal health care doesn't include mental health. This is Rebel HQ. I'm Sandy Lovis. I have experience navigating the mental health system and can tell you it's difficult when you're not in crisis and nearly impossible when you are. That was before the pandemic. During COVID, it's only gotten worse. People were put under more financial stress. There's the constant fear of losing loved ones or catching it yourself. Folks in unhealthy relationships were forced to spend more time together, and many people lost their jobs and homes. All of this caused a massive surge of people in need of professional therapists. And since our systems are designed to profit when there's high demand, there was never enough professionals to meet the needs of people to begin with. From the Washington Post, it has been difficult to find mental health counseling in much of the United States for years, long before the coronavirus pandemic began. But now, after 2 years of unrelenting stress, turmoil, and grief, many people seeking help are confronting a system at or beyond capacity, its inadequacy for this moment plainly exposed. It is even more difficult to find specialized care for children or those with lower income. Assistance of any kind is in short supply in rural areas, where all healthcare choices are more limited than they are for residents of cities and suburbia. Those hoping to find Black or Latino therapists face even more limited options. It's not like we can mass produce therapists in a factory. Yet, I'm sure Elon Musk is working on it. You need people interested in the profession, and it takes years to train them. And the people most likely to have access to that level of education are white and come from well-to-do backgrounds. We need more options. It's important to shop around for a therapist who best works with you. Being on a wait list for over a year when you're in crisis is not an option, and settling for any therapist you can see can be detrimental if that therapist brings their internalized racism and biases into the sessions.